Hey, what's up, Sid? Hey, I told Mike when he's late, I'm gonna go ahead and put up the Marbach mop. Morning, Sam Salinas. What's up? What's up, Matt Lerma? Chris Gonzalez. I heard the Cowboys won big yesterday. No mames. It was their bye week. Y'all got jokes, man. Mike Gomez, Sam, it's all over. Yeah, Mike, real late today, man. So we got some NFL talk to get into. NFL Week 7, I believe, just happened here. Talk about the winners and losers from that. Talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. We're going to talk about the UT football debacle that happened over the weekend, man. I thought UT would show up for this one. Was not the case, man. We'll talk about that. Locked on Spurs Justin here. Ask Mike why he insists on posting pics of his feet, man. We were just talking about that, me and Mike, right now. He said that I see a picture of his feet looking cute. I said, no, bro, I think you got fungal nail, man. That thing looked dead, dude.
Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. And right on cue, look who showed up. Decided to show up on time. We got questions, the chat, man. They've been asking you questions. Look at this one. Mario Cavazos. So, Joe, please explain what the heck slices of lime, lemons, oranges on his legs. Este vato más puto.
Oh, my goodness, man. Just let me enjoy my life.
We're talking about
funny,
the thing.
man.
You got some fungal nail there, man.
Yeah, welcome to the Alamo City Sportscast. It is Monday here in San Antonio. I'm already getting, it's so funny, man. I post that. And I knew I was going to get ragged on, but we'll show the photo. Here's the photo. Joe, this was my weekend. This is how I watched the noon football games. If you want to show my screen, Joe.
Oh God, dude. Do I have to?
This was it, man. This was it. Went
That's
to a place called Milano.
There's nothing there?
It's on my unless you don't have it here. If you want to do it on your screen. But anyway, long story short, I went out to go hanging out with the girlfriend. We went and did some pedicures and whatnot. Love doing the pedicure, Joe. Love it. If you have it on your screen, Joe, it's on my page.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here.
Okay, so first of all, it's a new place that opened up about a week ago, right? And I went inside there and I thought to myself, oh, it's going to be like any other nail place. I want to get the hell out of there. I'm going to be watching my football games out on I'm going to be watching my football games on my phone, which I don't like doing, Joe. I'm not a big fan of watching football or sports on a phone.
No.
But I was going to go do it because, well, that's what she wanted to do and all that stuff, right? Well, long story short, there it is. Long story short, the place had big screen TVs all over the place showing all the football games, man. Brand new place. And it came with a massage and whatnot. And towards the end, they started putting fruit on me. I don't know why. John Dyer on our Twitter page said, looked like I was an appetizer at the Diddy parties. But anyway, yeah, so that's what it, man. They soaked my feet in orange juice and lime juice and all that stuff. It was all right, man. It was all right.
That was freaking gross, bro.
It's beautiful, baby.
No.
It's beautiful. Have you ever had pedicure, Joe?
I don't know. I don't need it, dude.
Dude. Ain't nothing wrong with a pedicure.
No,
it is one of the greatest experiences you'll have. Take care of your feet, man. They get that cheese grater and they take off all the dry skin and all that stuff. They clip your toenails right. They get all that black gunk out of there. Man, they make your feet look all right, man.
I don't
it's
know,
all
man.
good, dude.
Take a shower every day, bro. I'm good.
Dude, that ain't enough, man. They massage your feet. They massage your legs. They give you a back rub. They give you 3 or 4 cocktails. I was drunk by the time I got out of there.
Nah, I'm good, bro.
Pedicures are manly, dude. I'm gonna die on that hill, man.
Nah.
Pedicures are Manley and Sam Salinas, Chris Gonzalez, JHNSB, all of you guys who are on there. Go with me. Go with me.
Nah, I'm good.
My
I don't want nobody
outfit.
touching my feet, dude. F that, man.
Dude, you're missing out, man. You don't know what you're missing, baby.
You know what? That's the only thing they didn't put on your feet, man. Tajin.
Very nice, man. Everyone go do it. So I have 2 polls out on Twitter, Joe. And I'm going to ask you the question first, Joe. First question was, all right, Spurs fans, what's an acceptable number of wins for the Spurs this year where you'd be happy in Wemby's second year with the team? Again, the Spurs season gets going in a few days, right? The 24th, I believe, Thursday. Yeah. So it's the start of the it's opening week for the Spurs, right? What's an acceptable number of wins? Joe, I have the options here of 30, 35, 41, which is a 500 record, or playing or better. Joe, what's acceptable for you?
35, 38 wins.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with you right there. And right now, 50% of the voters in there, you can vote on this at MJ Acquired Taste on Twitter. Right now, 50% say 35 wins gets you there.
I wonder why your screen's black, dude.
I have no idea. You got 20% saying 41%, 41 wins, 20% saying playing or better, and 11% saying 30 wins. So, Joe, think about that. There are 40% of fans right now who have responded to our Twitter saying that they want the Spurs to be 500 or better, which lends to the question, Joe, if the Spurs lose their 6th losing season in a row, would you want the team to move on from Pop? Again, this is not a Michael take. This is a temperature check of Spurs fans, okay? I'm not voting in this poll, Joe, but I'm going to ask you to vote in this poll. Spurs lose a 6th season in a row, dude. They get 30 wins, 35 wins. Do you want the team to move on from Pop?
Nah, man. Like I said, man, Pop gets to call his own shots, dude.
Okay, so he can lose 10 in a row and screw it. We have to all put up with it.
That's up to Pop, bro.
But you know what? 58% of the people who've responded so far say, yep, it would be time. And I think that this is a pivotal year for a lot of different members of the Spurs. We're going to get into that. I think it's a pivotal year for Jeremy Sohan. I think it's a pivotal year for players like Malachi Branham. And I think also for Pop as well. Because at some point, Spurs fans are going to turn on him. And that's what I don't want, Joe.
No, I think you would love it if that
Joe,
happened.
What's that saying from Batman? What's that saying from Batman? I don't know it all, but, about how sometimes the hero turns into the villain by staying around too long. What's that quote?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like you stay around here too long, you go from being the hero to the villain.
Yeah. And that's what could happen, Joe. That's what could happen. So we're talking about the Spurs today. We're talking about NFL Week 7. What a week it was, man. Niners back with a losing record, man. The Chiefs are still undefeated. The Vikings are no longer undefeated because the Detroit Lions, what a great game that was. That was the game that I was watching there while getting my patas taken care of. What a great game. Lions get a statement win. It looks like the road to the Super Bowl in the NFC goes through Detroit. We'll get into that. Texans lost a very, very close game to Green Bay. Other things to talk about, Joe, we have pop culture. There's that new special, that new movie by Anna Kendrick on Netflix. Diddy has new allegations against him. And again, Tony Busby making that announcement today. And also it says that it has unnamed celebrities that are also going to be discussed in this whole lawsuit. Deshaun Watson sucks ass. He's out for the year, more than likely. The Texas Longhorns lost. My God, goodness, Joe. We were talking about this on the way over here, Joe. What do we lead with? What is the lead story, Joe?
Deshaun Watson injured again, man.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. Deshaun Watson might be the worst free agent pickup of all time in NFL history.
That was a bad trade, man. The Browns, they wanted a scapegoat, so they blamed Baker. Baker showed it wasn't his fault that the team wasn't winning.
Right.
You know, he moved on, and he's now looking like he found second life over there with the Bucs. Deshaun Watson, he went from being one of the NFL's better quarterbacks.
He was elite, dude.
You know, like when he was with the Texans before the massage debacle came out.
Right.
And now you just see how he has digressed so much over the course of the last couple seasons here. He's just a mere shell of himself, and he looks horrible out there. I think this was a blessing in disguise for the Browns. Right now, I honestly do believe Deshaun Watson has played his last game for the Browns and quite possibly his last game as an NFL quarterback.
Deshaun Watson carted off the field yesterday, ruptured his Achilles. And I know that you said that there was a deep fake, but there are reports out there that there were some fans out there who were celebrating in the stands when this all happened. Deshaun Watson.
When you see the real video,
yeah,
you don't hear the fans booing. But when you hear that deep fake that somebody put out there,
mm-hmm.
you can hear them chanting and booing, and that audio has been enhanced and added. It wasn't there before in the original video. Just goes to show you what's happening with social media now, and like how everything can be fake and doctored real quick. Yeah.
But I'm sure there were people out there who didn't mind it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The Browns went on to lose 21-14 to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, very much like the Cowboys, 3-1 on the road, but 0-3 at home. The Bengals still trying to hold on to those playoff hopes. Joe Burrow with 2 touchdowns. But the weird thing about it, Joe, was that beyond the fact that Deshaun Watson, who has a 5-year, $240 million deal that is fully guaranteed, Joe, and he's halfway through it. He's got 2.5 more seasons of getting paid by this team, $50-some-odd million. He gets knocked out of the game. They bring in Dorian Thompson-Robinson as the backup, right? He gets hurt. So then they bring in their third-string quarterback who's called the emergency quarterback. They brought him in. Guess who that guy was, Joe?
Oh.
Jameis Winston. And the media there in Cleveland is all saying that everybody and their mama knew in Cleveland that the best quarterback on that roster was, in fact, Jameis Winston. But for some reason, the Browns didn't want to play him. He comes out in there, throws a touchdown pass, which is something Deshaun Watson hasn't been able to do.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, I mean, look at this. For the whole season, 7 games almost into it, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, just 1,100 yards passing, had a QBR of 23.4, the worst in the NFL. He was the worst quarterback in the entire NFL. This was a guy who was an all-pro, who was a Pro Bowler with the Houston Texans.
Former, yeah.
And everyone, we talked about Tony Busby with Diddy, right? Tony Busby was involved in the whole thing involving Deshaun Watson and all the massage therapists and all the allegations of sexual misconduct that he had against him. A couple of dozen women who signed NDAs and signed deals to go away. He goes to Cleveland, gets signed to this fully guaranteed deal that was controversial at the time. The Browns then get rid of Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield goes over to Tampa Bay, and Baker Mayfield has himself a career now. He now has a solid career. Deshaun Watson is trash. Deshaun Watson, who came out of Clemson, who was a national champion, who was an amazing player, right? First-round draft pick back in 2017. 29 years old. He is washed up, Joe. We're talking about Deshaun Watson playing his last game in Cleveland. He might have played his last game in the NFL yesterday.
Possibly, man.
This reminds me so much, Joe, of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. Remember, the second that Tiger Woods got caught being a cochino, what happened, Joe? What happened to his game?
Went downhill, man.
Went into the tank, right? He got exposed for being a cochino. His whole persona went away. I'm a good guy with a nice smile and a Elin Nordgren as my wife and my beautiful biracial kids and my model wife and all that stuff. All that went to crap, right? Elin almost beat the living crap out of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods then crashes his car, right? The SUV, neighbors come out. His life changed and his game changed, right? Deshaun Watson got exposed for being a cochino, for being somebody who's a criminal. And I'm not going to say allegedly. He is.
Yeah.
He gets exposed, and guess what happens? Suddenly he has no talent to play. We saw that now with Josh Primo, former Spurs first-round draft pick, right? Where's he now? How is it that a top pick in the draft, mid-round, mid-first round, can't get on anywhere? They get exposed, and it gets in their head, and they suddenly suck at sports. Deshaun Watson is complete trash. Am I going to say I'm glad that he got hurt? Let's go ahead and say that I'm not unhappy about it. If you were to tell me, Joe, Michael, there's going to be a player that goes down for the year with an Achilles injury, you get to decide. You get to be God for a day and decide which quarterback this belongs to. Do you think I'm going to say Baker? Do you think I'm going to say Dak? Do you think I'm going to say, Kyler Murray? Do you think I'm going to say any of these quarterbacks? Matthew Stafford. No.
Nah.
If I could pick one to go down with an Achilles injury, I would have picked Deshaun Watson. And now the Cleveland Browns are excited. Jameis Winston takes to the interview. He takes to the mic after the game going, you know what, man? You don't know what this guy's been through. Jameis Winston is a great speaker, is an orator, right? I know this because he played for my Saints for a while. He was a starter for most of one season. He's very motivating, right? Back in Florida State, he did that. He can psych up his players. I never looked at Jameis Winston before and thought to myself that I didn't like the guy. But yesterday I was like, shut the hell up, dude. You do not back up Deshaun Watson, dude. There's that one. No, you don't do that.
Look at this comment. Remember, just like we said,
I was going to say it.
Brett Favre,
good.
He has Parkinson's or whatever. Good. It's like, damn, boy.
Deshaun Watson is hurt. Mike equals
Good.
Good.
Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. Good.
Dude, is there a bigger trash in the NFL than Deshaun Watson? Trash in comparison to how much money they make.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure there are meaner people, right?
Deshaun gets paid way too much money to be serving up those mediocre numbers every week. I mean, at some point, the Browns just got to move on with him. And unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is they're just going to have to waive him and just eat that cap, dude.
Yeah. I mean, they want to move on from him, right? He'll be just hanging out in the locker room because an Achilles injury, dude, that's going to go into next season.
Look at what happened with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers he don't have it no more, man. The magic is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Father Time caught up with him, dude. He's looking old out there, dude. Let's be honest, man.
He has, and it's not the arm, Joe. The arm is there. But what made Aaron Rodgers good was his ability to avoid the rush, scramble, and launch. There is no better quarterback who could roll to the left and throw with his right better than Aaron freaking Rodgers. He can't do it. He's a sitting duck behind that offensive line. You get around the offensive lineman, he is done. Tonight, we got 2 Monday Night Football games. I'm usually not a fan, but I kind of like both matchups.
Yeah.
Early game on ESPN rather than ABC. Ravens at Buccaneers. Both teams coming in at 4-2. Both teams legitimate chances of making to the Super Bowl. I can see the Ravens in there. I can see the Bucs in there.
Yeah.
Legitimate chances. Ravens are by 3.5 on the road. Also tonight, you've got the Chargers, who surprisingly are 3-2, taking on the Arizona Cardinals with a 2-4 record. Chargers favored by 1, but we had a lot of games this week, man. Jaguars took care of the Patriots 32-16 there in London. Falcons lose to the Seahawks. Seahawks suddenly look better again, man. You know, they started hot, then they got cold. Big game yesterday. It's like, don't forget about us. Beat the Falcons 34-14. The Bills. Amari Cooper with a touchdown. Looking good on that skinny post. 34-10 over the Titans. Bills now 5-2 on the season. We mentioned how the Browns lost to the Bengals 21-14. Texans lost to the Packers 24-22. I thought for sure the Texans were going to take this game. They looked like they were the better team, but the Packers just hung around, and got the go-ahead points.
Wind up beating them by what score?
24-22.
2 points, man.
Yeah. I mean, Texans fall to 5-2. The Dolphins lose to the Colts 16-10 in Indy. Lions 31-29 over the Vikings. Let's talk about the Lions, man. Are the Lions the best team in the NFC right now?
They just proved it by beating a Vikings team who had not lost a single game.
Yeah. I think the Lions are the best team in the NFL.
Lions lost a couple games, but I mean, the Lions are still looking like a good team, man. They just finished, decimating the Cowboys.
Right.
Cowboys weren't even in that same stratosphere.
What if I told you that Jared Goff was a Hall of Famer?
I would believe you, dude.
I mean,
he's all right, He's
all right.
As far as Hall of Fame numbers go, I mean, he's not in the Hall of Very Good. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt.
I mean, he led the Rams to Super Bowl 53 back in the day.
I mean, isn't that the classification to be put in the Hall of Fame? You have to have won a Super Bowl at least.
But he didn't win that game, though. They lost to the Patriots, right? Yeah. It was one of the lowest scoring games of all time in the Super Bowl. But he's been to the promised land. He's been there.
Yeah.
He takes his Lions team to a Super Bowl, and he has gone to the Super Bowl twice. Last night, Jared Goff, 22 of 25, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, my fantasy team, 15 rushes, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including a 45-yarder. They've got David Montgomery. It's a 1-2 punch there at running back. Meantime, Maron St. Brown, 112 yards receiving. Khalif Raymond had himself a game, 39 yards with a touchdown. They've got Sam Laporta, one of the better tight ends out there. They've got a strong offensive line. And beyond all of that, patrolling the secondary, Brian Branch, man, that dude was everywhere yesterday. Lions, 5-1 on the season. What's that? I don't know where that came from. Dak Prescott has never shown himself to be anything bad.
Man, that chat.
Congratulations to Dak Prescott, who, by the way, I believe he became engaged over the weekend.
He did. Dude.
He got the Mexicana. Got the Mexicana. Gonna make her. What's it called? Gonna make an honest woman out of her.
Yeah, baby mama.
Eagles suddenly back at 4-2. AJ Brown with a 41-yard touchdown. They beat the Giants 28-3. The Rams, in what used to be the Battle of LA, beat the Raiders 20-15. The Rams improved to 2-4. The Commanders back on the winning ways, but they lost Jaden Daniels in this mix. Commanders win 40-7 over the Panthers. Chiefs 28-18 over the Niners on the road. Steelers 5-2. They don't know who their quarterback is, Joe, but all they do is win. 5-2. They lost to the Cowboys, but they somehow are 5-2. Jaden Daniels' injury, dude, that was a big deal. We didn't even talk about that.
No, we haven't talked about that.
He threw his helmet to the ground when it all happened.
Well, he probably knew, dude.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the latest when it comes to he's in good spirits. Commanders should be in good spirits too, according to USA Today. He had a left rib injury, got knocked out of the game. And the Commanders were up 10-0 at the time, go on to win big. It doesn't seem like it's going to be the worst thing in the world. I haven't seen anything online that says that it's going to be like out for months at a time. But they have a stretch of winnable games, Joe. Lions, dude. The Lions look good.
Lions do look good, man.
Let's see here. I'm trying to see what the latest and greatest is with.
Oh, man. Did you see this yesterday during that Kansas City game, man? Cornerback Jalen Watson. I mean, he suffered a fractured ankle, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. I was watching the game. I was like, ooh, that didn't look good. So pour some out for him, man. Speedy recovery for him, dude.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster also went out with an injury. They kind of took him out of the waiver wire because of all the injuries. That's the one thing about the Chiefs. They're injured all over the place.
They're dropping, dude.
And they just keep winning.
That's because the refs keep giving them games. They find ways to win, no doubt. This game that they won, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, man. Mahomes, he did really good in this game, man. Yeah. He had one where he broke away and he just ran like 19 yards down the field to continue the drive, you know? So it's like your quarterback, he's playing at a high level, man. So he's willing the team to victory.
Yeah.
You know,
Jaden Daniels, apparently his x-rays came back clean. Doesn't have more tests done today. Just sit his ass, dude. Sit his ass for a little while.
Man.
Looking at the standings, though, Joe.
Me too.
I mean, Cowboys right now. It's do or die for them, right?
Cowboys are done, dude.
Oh, you think so already?
I think so already.
All right, so let's take a look at the standings right now. Commanders at 5-2, the Eagles at 4-2, your Cowboys at 3-3. Over on the NFC North, the worst team in the NFC North right now is the Chicago Bears at 4-2 because you got the Lions and Vikings at 5-1. The Packers, who beat the Texans, are 5-2. You've got the Bucks at 4-2, the Falcons at 4-3. You've got Seattle at 4-3. So if the season was to end right now, Joe, the Cowboys are on the outside looking in. Right now, the Cowboys are ranked number 10 in the conference. You got to be in the top 7.
Yeah, Cowboys, they got a tough schedule ahead of them, man. And
dude, the Eagles would be out of the playoffs right now.
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles at 4-2 are the 8th best team in the NFC right now. If the season was to end right now, Joe, every single team in the NFC North would make it. The Bears would be the 7th team at a 4-2 record.
Man, that NFC North, I mean, look at who you got. You got the Lions, you got the Vikings, you got the Packers, the Bears. All these teams have winning records, man.
Season end right now, Detroit would have the bye. The Commanders would host the Bears. The Buccaneers would host the Packers. And the Seahawks would take on the Lions. I mean the Vikings, rather. I know we're only about a third of the way into the season, a little bit more than a third of the way through, but still, the playoff picture is starting to form. Over in the AFC, the number one seed, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-0. Dude, there's no one-loss team over there. The Chiefs have a 2-game lead on the loss column over the other teams. Texans right now are number 2, Steelers 3, Buffalo Bills 4, Ravens 5, Chargers 6, Colts 7. On the outside looking in, you've got the Broncos and Bengals there at 8 and 9. Very, very interesting. Joe, it's the beginning. It's the opening week of the NBA, Joe. This is where hope springs eternal. Any good comments today, Joe? Do anyone want to?
They're just saying, kind of like the injuries that we're talking about. Like we're talking about Juju. They said Juju rehurt his hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
And look, they were saying Chris Gonzalez put, what about Alvin Kamara wanting out?
At some point you got to move on. He's not going to be there forever. He's already past 30. It just is what it is.
Mario Cavazos. The real question here, who will be winning more games for the rest of the season between the Cowboys and Saints?
Both are going to be around 6 or 7 wins when it's all said and done. Joe, you know what pisses me off, Joe? The Spurs season starts on Thursday night, but somehow or another it's day 3 of the NBA because the NBA gets going tomorrow, Joe.
It does, man.
There are 2 games tomorrow on the docket on the NBA. You've got the Knicks and Celtics on TNT starting at 6:30 San Antonio time. The headlining game, the 9 o'clock game, Lakers hosting the Timberwolves. Again, 2 games to start the season tomorrow in the NBA. On Wednesday, you have a few more games going on. In fact, half the NBA is on the docket. You got the Pacers and Pistons, Nets and Hawks. We'll be all cheering for the Nets, right?
Of course.
Magic, Heat, Bucks, Sixers, Cavs, Raptors, Hornets, Rockets, Bulls, Pelicans, Grizzlies, Jazz, Suns, Clippers, Warriors, Blazers. Spurs don't get going until the Thursday night game on the road. Joe, the Spurs are 7.5-point underdogs against the Dallas Mavericks, taking on Luka Doncic and the fellas over there.
Yeah, they're going to have the Lakers come out, for opening night. Because you know what they're going to do? They're going to put out Bronny and LeBron James, man. That way they can go ahead and get those ratings in. But, I mean, let's be honest. Lakers and the Timberwolves, who do you think is going to win that game?
Timberwolves. I mean, I've been on record by saying that I'm not a big believer in the Lakers. Father Time's undefeated. And at some point, it's going to get LeBron. At some point, it's got to.
I think this might be his last season, dude.
It better be because he says he wants to play with Bronny. Bronny sucks ass.
Dude, Bronny ain't all that, man.
Bronny's going to get a roster spot.
He already got one, dude, but he don't deserve it.
Nope, not at all. It's nepotism at its finest.
Yeah. And I'm just looking, and seeing what's going to happen here at this, with the schedule and whatnot. Of course, Spurs fans excited about Spurs starting their season, as you said, on Thursday. And then they have the opening night, is going to be here on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs fans are going to be out in force for that. They're going to be excited to go and see, the Frost Center, get a first look at some of these players here. It's going to be exciting times, man, this week if you're a Spurs fan. Got a lot of things going on. Of course, the Spurs are playing their rival, man, the Rockets.
Right.
There's no love lost there. You know how Spurs fans feel about Rockets.
I mean, the problem with the Spurs right now, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, is what if the season gets away from them? What if the season starts off slow? Because the Spurs have the Mavericks, then back-to-back game against the Rockets, at OKC, at Utah, home against Minnesota, at the Clippers, at the Rockets, home against Portland. So let's talk about those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, home against Utah. What's an acceptable number of wins out of those 10 games? Where you're like, okay, we're building something here. Because Joe, if I had to say at Dallas, that's an L, right? We're hoping for a win, but if we had to bet money on it, just straight up, that'd be 0-1, right? back-to-back home games against the Rockets. Think we get one? Think we get both?
Think the Spurs might get the one at home in front of the home crowd.
So we're 1-2 at Oklahoma,
No.
at Utah,
That one maybe.
home against Minnesota.
No.
So now we're looking at, I don't know, 2-4.
And don't get me wrong, I think they'll play Minnesota tough, but I don't think they're going to have enough star power to, beat Minnesota.
At the Clippers, at Houston.
Clippers, yes. At Houston again, I don't know, dude. I would have to say no. Blazers, maybe.
Blazers, okay, I'll take the Blazers at Utah. So we're looking at 3-7, 4-6 to start the year, unless the Spurs are better than advertised. So I asked the question on Twitter because the Spurs have had back-to-back seasons of 22-60. The Spurs have also lost 5 seasons in a row with losing records. Ask the question, what is an acceptable number of wins for the Spurs this year, knowing that this is Wemby's second year on the team? 49%, 63 votes, Joe, in less than an hour.
Jeez, man.
So people are on to this topic, right? 49% saying they would be happy if the Spurs got 35 wins. 21% saying they better get to 500, 41 wins. 17% saying playing or better. And 13% are saying we'd be all right with 30 wins.
But what does that tell you, though? Everybody's all right with 30 wins, 35 wins, 38 wins. And that tells Spurs fan one thing, that the Spurs were so bad last year that they're okay with the Spurs having another mediocre season.
Right. And again, if they get to 30 some odd wins, guess what? They were there 3 years ago without Wemby.
What did they have? DeJounte Murray.
Our DeRozan days. We were already there.
Lonnie Walker. And speaking of Lonnie, man.
Yeah, he got dumped by the Celtics.
Pour some out for Lonnie, dude. I think Lonnie's probably played his last game in the NBA. Dude.
Man, he's got some talent.
Nah, bro, I think he's done here. No team wants him anymore.
Pick him up. Someone will pick him up.
You know who wants to pick him up right now?
Who's that?
Team overseas. I think he's gonna go get the calling.
Well,
Shanghai Sharks.
Why is it always Shanghai Sharks? Why is it? There's more than just one team over there.
Yeah, I know. We always like to make fun, though, man.
Sith says realistically he wants 35 wins. He says this on Twitter. Says unrealistically 47. Heimer reaches out to us on Twitter and says, going to be a lot of disappointed fans this year. I went with 35, but I think there's a chance that we win a few less. I would love to be wrong, though, and have them outperform my expectations. Hollywood Nixon is in the house, saying at this stage of the rebuild and after missing the playoffs for 6 straight years, the only acceptable thing is for the Spurs to make the play-in, but they won't. This roster is flawed, he says, and they're already dealing with injuries right off the bat. Devin Vassell out for the first week of the season at least. Says he's not going to be reevaluated after a foot injury. Apparently his surgery did not heal correctly. Going to be reevaluated on November 1. Hiss the Villain says somewhere in the middle between 30 and 35 is good with him. Ask the question again, Joe. Again, we had more than 60 people vote right now in less than an hour asking the question, if, capital letters, if the Spurs have their 6th losing season in a row, would you want the team to move on from Pop? 45% say yes, 55% say no. Broly says, well, it depends. Reaches out to us on our Twitter account and says, if it's under 35 wins, he'd want to move on. But if it's 35 or more, he'd be okay.
Yeah, I'm going to show the screen right now. I'm going to show the good screen. So here we go. If the Spurs have their 6th losing season in a row, would you want the team to move on from Pop?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it would be time. No, we trust in Pop. Did you vote for me?
Yes.
I would put no, we trust in Pop.
Yeah, I did. It's where the check mark is there.
Yeah, I would say, yep. That's
okay.
The one. So it's kind of close. You got 45.3% Spurs fans saying it's time to move on.
Yeah, Deontay Rose saying Pop would have to remove himself because, of course, nobody else will. Gabe reaches out and says, if anyone expects this team to have, as it's currently constructed, to have a season of 500 or better in the Western Conference, they are really kidding themselves about thinking that they know ball.
Oh, look at that. Brawley says if they have under 35 wins, it's time. Well, it might be right on the cusp of 35, maybe a little more.
I mean, at some point, like what does it take? What does it take? Because we have our good friend Matt Lerma, who does the Twitter Spaces, and we'll be what are we doing? Co-branded with them?
Well, yeah, we were sponsoring the Twitter Spaces this year, and I got to say, man, I released a new episode of the Area 210 podcast where we talk a
Yeah.
lot about Spurs basketball. I had an all-stars cast on there. I had Matt Lerma was part of it. Sith Elias was part of that. We had John Dyer on there. We had Spurnandis on there.
Nice.
We're all talking about the Spurs predictions for the regular season. Kind of what we thought about the team and whatnot. It was a safe space. I told everybody we're not here to judge. I didn't go like deep dive into, numbers and stats and stuff like I normally would when I have the media people on there with me. But this was just a fan centric episode. It's out. Go check it out. I will put it up so you all can check that out later on today on the Alamo City Podcast Network.
So what was the thoughts on Pop? Did y'all touch on that?
Didn't really touch on Pop. We talked more about records. We talked more about predictions. We talked about Wemby in year 2. What do we think about him? It wasn't really a mention of Coach Pop per se, more along the lines of talking about the team and the players.
So Matt Lerma hates the fact that he got offended one time when I called him a Pop apologist. Okay. But there are some Spurs fans out there, Joe, and maybe you're one of them, who believe that he can't do any wrong. That believe that he's the greatest coach of all time today. But no one in the professional sports media buys Pop as the best coach in the NBA. Very few consider him to be top tier anymore. Why is that?
I think that just, as you age out, you start losing a little bit. And you can see that, I guess, in some of the way that the schemes are played out there on the court. It's kind of a harken back to the old NBA, old school NBA. But I mean, a lot of the things that Coach Pop has done is he's also evolved in some respect to the more modern style of the NBA. You have to as a coach. You can't use what worked 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Things change.
But is he doing that anymore?
He
used to be. He
is, but he doesn't
evolved.
have the cast.
Pop was great going from the slow ball, the 90s, the ground and pound of the 90s to the early 2000s to developing into the beautiful game of 2013 and 2014 seasons. He did do that, man, but I don't think he's evolved ever since then. I think he's still in CD mode, man.
Hey, look at this. This is funny, man. Sam Salinas. Let's not forget Pop forced himself in. It probably will only be him calling when he's done, sadly. He did. I mean, you remember Bob Hill. He didn't let the brother get on the bus, man. Coach Pop, he got on the bus and told the team, I'm the captain now.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'll let old boy go.
Some reports coming in right now. I know we're going back to the NFL real fast. 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. It appears that he did suffer a season-ending injury. Dude, the Niners might be toast, dude.
And
no McCaffrey, no Ayuk. It's about injuries, man.
That's just the nature of the beast.
It's about injuries. I mean, teams that look good early on, my Saints are 2-0. They got decimated with injuries. They suck. The Niners,
Week 7, dude.
The Niners are not the same without Christian McCaffrey. The offense does not function
man, they're not.
around him. And then
they still got Kittle's out there.
Kittle's old, though, man. Some of these players like Kittle and Kelsey, they've been around for like 12 years, man. Leave them alone.
Around a little bit. Been around a little bit.
Leave them alone. But going back to the Spurs, man, let's give some love to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/at Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
That's right. I subscribe on YouTube. I subscribe on Spotify as well. I'm oftentimes on the show. Joe, you were on the show as well. Taking a look right now at his feed right now of what he's working on today.
Lead story, man.
Yeah, talking about how Shaq doesn't rank Wemby as one of the best upper tier NBA players in the NBA.
Shaq don't like the Spurs. He don't like any player on the Spurs.
He lived in San Antonio for a while at Cole High School. He didn't like the fact that he didn't get any run. That he was more known nationally there than he was. By the way, my daughter sent me a photo of Shaq was in Baton Rouge. I don't know, he was at some CVS or Walgreens and people were taking photos of him. My question about this is this. I know he played at LSU.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it was one season?
Yeah.
Why does he keep going back to Baton Rouge?
He
Baton
lives
Rouge
nearby.
is kind of a podunk town, man.
You see, the thing though that is, let's say Shaq does right, is that he always winds up giving back to the community or helping people, right?
Right.
So I think maybe he was back there because he helps some type of nonprofit or he's helping the community in some capacity, and
All
that's probably why
right.
he goes back there. No, I'm being dead serious though, because he does a lot of that. He does a lot of community work, and he lives in Atlanta, I believe, near the studios of
Of
TNT and
TNT, yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
Do you know who else does a lot of community work at a place where they used to play at? Lonnie Walker.
Yeah.
Lonnie Walker is still involved in the San Antonio community. Article right now by Jeff Garcia on Locked On Spurs talking about how a EuroLeague powerhouse is targeting the 6-year NBA veteran Lonnie Walker IV, former Spurs first-round draft pick. So not the Shanghai Sharks, Joe. Not the Shanghai Sharks, but the EuroLeague.
Might not be a bad place for Lonnie, man. Yeah, he'll get a lot of run. He could be a superstar over there, dude.
It's Real Madrid
There you go.
that has expressed interest.
He could be a superstar over there. They'll erect a statue in his honor, just like they did for what's his name, Starberry,
Nice.
Stephon
That
Marbury.
was in China.
Yeah,
But you know
man.
what? Stephon Marbury, what a great story that was.
Yeah, man. He was in the NBA, right, for quite some time. Was a rising star. Just fizzled out. Went overseas, found new life there, man.
Yeah. And it's a great story because he fully immersed himself in the culture.
Yeah.
There are some people who go to Russia, like Becky Hammond, Brittany Griner did back in the day before she got busted over there. Who go over there? It's a business trip. They don't want to get involved in anything. They're going to go to their hotel.
Just play.
They're going to go play sports. They're going to go back in. Stephon Marbury became symbolic in China. Like he embraced the celebrity there.
Yeah.
He embraced the culture, the clothing. I mean, he was all about it.
He had the shoe line over there and everything.
Yeah,
dude.
and he's like,
Yeah.
there's 5 for every one American. There's like 5 Chinese people, right?
Yeah.
So maybe 4 to 1. He's like, I'm loved over here. Why wouldn't I want to be over here?
They won't leave.
Yeah, I know. He'll always go back, but that's amazing that they get to continue their dream. Lonnie Walker might not be the NBA star that we all hoped that he would be. I remember his player comp back in the day was he had shades of Dwayne Wade.
Oh, bro.
Now, he had the burst of Dwayne Wade, but he didn't have it between the ears. Dwayne Wade was mentally strong. Lonnie Walker, not so much. But then again, Pop never gave him a real role. You know, it's like they play him for 30 minutes and start him. Then they'd bench his ass for a couple of games. It was just kind of bizarre. But Matt Larimer earlier was saying, let me call into the show.
You know what? And we're going to
We need to bring him on.
We'll have him on here. But the one thing that not only him, but some of the other fans have been asking for is they want to call in. So we're going to have not only giveaway Fridays, but we'll have call-in
Fridays. I like it.
We might take one call, too, if somebody has a question for Mr. Johnny Walker.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let them call in when we have Johnny on, and we'll let them ask Johnny a question. You got to keep it respectable, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs, Ken's 5, bringing you your daily content when it comes to Spurs. The season getting going for the Spurs. NBA starts tomorrow. 2 games tomorrow involving the marquee teams in the NBA. Spurs don't get going until day 3, Thursday. So we have to wait a few days. I got to go buy the Bally Sports app all over again, Joe. I'm not looking forward to that at all.
Here's the thing, and Jeff was asking me to tell everybody, like, what does it mean now when you now have Bally's teaming up with FanDuel? Doesn't mean much.
No.
All it means is that Bally's is in a bad way, so teaming up with FanDuel, I'm sure at some point that deal was made because FanDuel is going to assume some of that debt with Bally Sports app, or the Bally's to help pay some of their amounting debt that they have. And the other thing is, what does it mean moving forward? Because now it's not going to be Bally's, it's going to be FanDuel. A rebrand might be what the doctor ordered because Bally's doesn't have a good reputation already, so maybe they make some improvements to the app and it gets better experience for the fan. Great. The problem is the underlying issue is you still have the regional sports networks, and as far as them and their offerings to the fan base. And how much is that going to cost the fan? Because
Yeah.
right now you can buy it for $20 a month. And everybody's like, well, what does it mean if, they're going to have a deal already in place? I believe it goes into effect next season with Amazon Prime, right? Because they're going to be able to, show these games now on Amazon Prime. But pump the brakes there. Doesn't mean that that's free. They're giving Amazon Prime, some type of permission. They made a deal where Amazon Prime can now show those games on their network, but it's going to come at a cost, because if you're a subscriber and you're paying $20 a month or what have you, and you already have Amazon Prime, you're going to have to pay the $20 or $30 for Amazon Prime Video, plus the $20 on top of that to watch the games. They ain't giving you nothing for free, bro.
That's right.
It's going to cost you $50 a month to watch it.
Cutting the cord was cheap back in the day, man. Not anymore.
Because what? You have $50, right? Let's put it in perspective. $50 for Amazon Prime plus, $30 roughly plus $20 to watch your regional sports coverage. Then what happens? You want Netflix? How much is Netflix now? Another $30?
It could be. Depends on what package you use. Right. Yeah.
You're going to want to watch more than 2 screens, bro. It's going to cost you a little bit more than 30. Mm-hmm. Then what? You're going to want Hulu. You're going to want Disney Plus or Peacock or Paramount.
I mean, you're getting more than what you had before. I mean, it's better than back in the day having Time Warner. It's better than having DirecTV,
having the Lifetime that you don't want to watch. You pay for it,
Exactly.
Come on, but everybody's still going to want the Max because they're going to want to watch the Penguins series. That's really fire right now, dude.
Really,
it's really good. Even if you don't like that, it's a DC, universe. No, bro. Beyond that, it is really good.
Well, Max is great anyway. It's the best when it comes to movies. The 2 best streaming services out there, Joe, and I don't even think it's close. The 1 and 1A are Hulu and Max.
Max has some really good shows, man. And that Penguin show, I bet you're going to get some awards. And it's hard to believe that's Colin Farrell underneath all that. I mean, he plays such a good Penguin, dude. If you haven't seen it, if you like The Sopranos, if you like the gangster type of series, this is going to be up your alley, dude.
Colin Farrell, man. That's a name, a blast from the past.
Great actor, though.
My favorite movie of his is Phone Booth. Remember that movie?
That's such a stupid movie.
It's an hour and 15 minutes long.
He's in the freaking phone booth.
Kiefer Sutherland is the voice on the other side. Dude, that was such a great movie, man.
Offing people while you're in the phone booth. I'm like, come on, bro.
The strippers come out.
It's such a dumb movie, dude.
The pimp gets blasted. Hey, speaking of getting blasted, Texas Longhorns over the weekend. 30-15 to the Georgia Bulldogs.
It would have been more, dude.
Dude, I mean, they kept on intercepting the Georgia quarterback. So you would think that they would convert that into points, but they didn't. And then they yanked Quinn Ewers to put in Arch Manning. Now you have a potential quarterback controversy in Texas, in Austin. Longhorns have dropped down the rankings from number 1 to number 5, Joe. How disappointed were you in the Longhorns play? Because I tell you what, Joe, Georgia could move the ball. The whole thing that we talked about Johnny Walker with on Friday was the fact that Texas had a great defense, and it looked like it was holding up, man. First quarter of the game, couple of pickoffs, right? They're getting in the passing lanes, picking off the quarterback, Carson Beck. What happened? They cough the ball up every single time. Interception or fumble the ball, whatever the case may be. And they couldn't take advantage of the takeaways. They gave the ball right back to them, and then Georgia started running it down their throats.
But what does it tell you, though, man? The Texas Longhorns, they were able to play teams that were lesser than, except for Michigan.
Well, I mean, they beat OU.
But OU's not the powerhouse that it used to be. They all right.
Oh, so are we saying now that Texas was kind of just overrated?
I think they were overrated, bro. And I'm going to tell Johnny Walker that to his face on Friday, because I'm going to say, look it, man, y'all are singing the praises of Texas. I'm a Texas fan. I love me some Texas Longhorns.
Yeah.
But was their record deceiving?
Well, Joe, look at it this way, Joe. 2 quarterbacks in this game that were both projected to be first-round draft picks, Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck. Quinn Ewers yanked from the game, 25 of 43 for 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Dude also lost 2 fumbles, so responsible for 3 turnovers, right? Carson Beck, quarterback of Georgia, 23 of 41, 175, no touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. If I had told you going into this game that Carson Beck would have 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, we would have been like, Texas is going to kill this team. But Trevor Etienne, 87 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. It was because Texas gave the ball right back. Arch Manning lost a fumble.
Yeah,
it was all about turnovers. And
what it boiled down to, actually, Mike, it was defense. Because I'll tell you one thing, man. I saw this Georgia team and their defensive line that they had out there.
Yeah,
man, they were just so fast, quick. They were beating Texas off the line, and they were just on that quarterback. They had pressure on the QB almost every single possession, dude.
Texas had no running game. 29 yards. 29 yards the whole game.
They got some things going in that second half, but it wasn't much. And then they couldn't stop the run when it came to Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, the game was lost in the trenches.
When Texas gave up the ball, Georgia was already in scoring position.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, they played Texas beautifully as far as the defensive scheme down the field. I mean, the QBs didn't really have a lot of open receivers.
Do you think
a lot of open people to throw?
Do you think that this is paper, rock, scissors, where one team could beat the other team, which can beat the other team, and just it's like all about matchups?
I'll tell you what, man. What it really boiled down to me is coaching, man. That Georgia coach, you got to tip your hat to him, man. He's one
of the highest paid for a reason. Now, here's the thing, Joe. I'm going to tell you something about college football right now that a lot of people are not really paying attention to. First of all, let's go through the rankings, and we'll get to this in a second, right? If I was to ask you who's in first place, who are the top 2 teams in the SEC, what do you think those teams would be, Joe?
I would say, Texas would be one of them.
Texas, Georgia, Bama, maybe.
Maybe not.
Joe, you know what the standings say?
I know, dude. I saw them.
The top 2 teams in the SEC right now are A&M and LSU. They're the undefeated teams in the SEC. And on top of that, they play each other this weekend. I will tell you this, Joe. Winner of that game makes the playoff.
Yeah, man. It has to. But you know what? Speaking of which, you're bringing up these teams, right?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and show the AP poll for this week. Dude.
Right.
And there you have it, man. We're showing it directly here on the stream. The AP poll, top 25.
Oregon with 59 of the 61 first place votes, undefeated at 7-0. They beat Ohio State earlier this year. Number 1, the Oregon Ducks. Number 2, Georgia Bulldogs. They jump up from 5-2 after beating Texas at DKR.
They put up dominating performance against them.
They did. Number 3, the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Undefeated, but still in number 3. They put Georgia above them. Ohio State at number 4. Again, there's going to be a 12-team playoff, right?
Yep.
And there's going to be one non-Power 5 that's going to be in there as well. Ohio State at number 4. Texas drops to number 5 at 6-1. Dude, all Miami does is win. They're the ugliest team in all of football. They are like the Kansas City Chiefs. They're poised to lose every single week, and they somehow win. Undefeated, 7-0. Tennessee, Joe. What a great story to see an SEC team like Tennessee just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, man.
LSU lost the first game of the season to USC, right? A ranked team. It's like, oh, well, this season's going to go to crap, right? Nope. They've won 6 in a row, undefeated in the SEC. Right now, LSU is number 8, going to go on the road to take on the Texas A&M Aggies, who are number 14, by the way.
They're almost on the cusp.
Yep. That's why I'm saying this game is it's a playoff game, this game. Number 9, Clemson. Number 10, Iowa State. 11, BYU. Notre Dame is 12.
BYU is undefeated.
And BYU has a good running game, though, Joe. I mean, that's just what they're known for right now. Yeah. BYU back in the day was all about passing the ball, right? But not so much anymore, dude. I mean, they've got some really good team. They've got a good team around them. BYU would theoretically be the non-Power 5 to get in. Because I don't think BYU is in a major conference, are they?
No, I don't think they are.
Let's see here. BYU. Oh, no, they're the Big 12.
Are they?
Oh, so they wouldn't be. They used to be like Mountain West.
Yeah.
Back in the day. In my mind, they still are, but they realigned, and I haven't wrapped my head around it. So let's look for the team. Can you imagine Alabama's 15, dude? Alabama lost its second game of the year to Tennessee on the road. They lost, dude, something about the state of Tennessee. They've lost in the last 3 weeks at Vanderbilt in Nashville.
Who?
In Nashville. And then they go on. Vanderbilt, who, by the way, is 5-2.
Yeah, they're not that bad, dude.
And they lose to Tennessee. They've lost both of their games in the state of Tennessee. That's funny, dude. But if the playoffs were to start right now, Joe, there'd be no Alabama.
Top 12 only are the ones that make it in, dude.
Top 12 only. So let's talk about the teams that are like non-Power 5. Boise State, who has arguably the best running back in all of college football, averages like 10 yards per carry, right? The dude's going to be more likely a Heisman Trophy winner. They're at number 17. They're the highest ranked non-Power 5 out there. You've got SMU at 6-1, Army
and
Navy.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt now ranked number 25. That's so cool, dude. That's so cool. I saw a stat earlier this week that they were talking about on, I believe it was the Georgia-Texas game. They said that going into last week's games, that there were 30 teams that had a legitimate chance of making the playoffs. And now we're down to about 28. I think that's the beautiful part of having a 12-team playoff, is that the season doesn't end. It's a fight to the finish. Just make it to the top 12. Because look at SMU, Army, Navy, and Boise State. They're going to be fighting, man. They're going to be fighting to get to the top of that heap there. Bama now needs to win. A&M now needs to win.
Look at Chris Lehan. He brings up my point. Texas beat Colorado State, UTSA, UL Monroe. All three no-name teams. Then OU, who's barely over 500. But yeah, they are so amazing. They finally played a real SEC team, and they got their teeth knocked in, dude.
Yep. You beat the team in front of you, right? They went into Ann Arbor, beat the national champions, right? But I know that they didn't have the same quarterback, right? Because JJ McCarthy moved on to the NFL. It's different, right? Here are the games this week. The early game that we have on Thursday is going to be Pittsburgh, ranked number 19, taking on Syracuse. Boise State, again, trying to keep pace with all the other non-Power 5s out of the Mountain West, going up against UNLV. UNLV is 6-1 on the season. Why is no one talking about UNLV?
Now mentioning them.
Same conference.
Look at this. Sam Salinas put up Army versus Navy likely to happen in 2 weeks.
Well, before that, you know who Navy hosts this week? Notre Dame. The 12th ranked Notre Dame, the Domers, the Fighting Irish, are on the road against Navy. The pageantry of that game, 11 a.m. on ABC on Saturday.
Look at Tim Gonzalez brings up something here. He says SMU versus Duke this Saturday night on the ACC network. Both teams have one loss.
That's right. That's right. Illinois, the 20th ranked team in the nation, going up against number 1 Oregon. Oklahoma, unranked Oklahoma, first year in the SEC. They're 1-3 in the SEC right now. They're going to take on Ole Miss. Ole Miss favored by 21 over OU. OU going to drop to 500. Maybe it's true. Maybe Texas has been playing bad teams, and now they're getting to the meat of the schedule.
Yeah, and they were saying that I believe it was Alabama that has a more favorable schedule because they're going to be playing teams that aren't really ranked up there.
Yeah.
You know?
BYU on the road against UCF. UCF always a hard out, man. That's a hard place to play. BYU only favored by 1.5. Joe, what if I told you that Bama's going to lose their third game of the year?
I would probably believe you, man.
Missouri, the 21st ranked Missouri Tigers, going into Tuscaloosa to take on Bama. Bama favored by 2 touchdowns, though. Guess who Texas is playing this weekend on the road?
Who are they playing?
Vanderbilt.
Oh, man.
Vanderbilt, fresh off that victory a couple of weeks ago over Bama. Can you imagine what they're going to take down the other goalpost
if they
and take it down and take Texas down?
If they do that, Texas will drop from number 5 probably to number 8 or 9.
Easily. Vanderbilt, though, is an underdog. Texas somehow favored by 18 points. We'll see what quarterback is there. Miami, Florida State, that's always a crazy game. Florida State is 1-6. They suck ass. But Miami just skating along, 7-0. Third-ranked Penn State on the road against Wisconsin. LSU, undefeated in the SEC against A&M, undefeated in the SEC. A&M ranked 14th in the nation, lost the first game of the season, has won every game since then. Guess what? LSU lost the first game of the season, has won every game since then. A&M favored by 2.5 points there in Kyle Field. K-State hosting Kansas in the Battle of Kansas. And SMU 6-1 on the road. ACC battle against Duke. That game's going to be a 7 p.m. kickoff on the ACC
That's Tim
network.
Gonzalez's team right there. Is the Duke Blue Devils, man.
SMU favored by 11.5.
That's gonna be a good matchup. I'm
getting excited about this, Joe.
No, it's a good. So they have some good games on Saturday, dude. Some really
Mhm.
good games, and of course, Saturday is also going to be the home opener for the San Antonio Spurs.
David Otwater saying all these Texas haters coming out knowing damn well their team would not even stand a chance against us. All we're saying, Joe, David, is that the schedule has gotten a little bit better, a little bit harder, right? Because the whole thing about playing Vanderbilt, that was a gimme, right? That was going to be one of those games where you just put that on the W column, check mark it.
Yep.
Not so much anymore. Then they play Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky on the road against A&M on November 30th.
A&M's not a bad team, dude.
I told that to Rudy J on Twitter the other day. He was talking about all this SEC stuff, and I said, dude, LSU and A&M are lurking. They're just sitting there, just
looking like the Texas A&M
like,
team of old, dude.
Don't look at us, but we're 5-0 at the end of this week. Yeah. One of those teams will be 4-0 or 5-0 in the SEC. You know, and the SEC, you look at the standings, Joe. A&M and LSU are the only undefeated teams. Can you imagine if A&M is 5-0 in the conference? If A&M beats LSU, Joe, I think they go from 14 to 6.
Yeah.
Because it's all about scoreboard. And A&M has been beating some decent teams. They beat 9th-ranked Missouri, who was 9th-ranked at the time. They didn't just beat them, Joe. They beat them 41-10. They beat a good Mississippi State team, 34-24. They beat Arkansas. They beat Florida on the road. Only loss was to Notre Dame. And that was with a brand new quarterback who has settled in. The whole thing was, well, that quarterback sucks.
You heard East Carolina fires their head coach, Mike Houston?
Really?
Yeah, and that's a team that beat UTSA just about a couple weeks ago, man. And they said they fired Mike Houston after 5 seasons and the loss to Army. That was pretty much it for him. And after, East Carolina, they started 3-4.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear that there's a team in San Antonio that plays UTSA Roadrunners?
Yeah, I think they won.
They won a game this weekend. You know that's how bad the season's been.
You know,
we like buried them deep into. We're 68 minutes into this podcast, and we're like, you know what? Let's talk UTSA football. They beat FAU 38-24 to snap a 2-game losing streak. UTSA now 3-4 on the season, 1-2 in conference play. Again, they got to get 6 wins, Joe. 6 wins to make it to a bowl game. They've got Tulsa next. Tulsa 0-3 in conference. Tulsa is 2-5 on the season, also struggling this year. After that, UTSA has got Memphis, who's a really good team. They've got UNT, which is a good team. So if UTSA has any chance of making a bowl game, they've got to win both gimme games, which are Tulsa and Temple. And they've got to win one of the following: Memphis, UNT, or Army. Yeah. And we've seen Army destroy that team, and they're going to play that game on the road on November 30th.
UTSA has always had issues with Army, dude.
It's a running attack.
Army has such a great scheme out there, dude. And UTSA always has problems with Army. And they might keep it close for the first half, but in the second half, usually what will happen is that if UTSA can't keep up with Army, that's all she wrote, man. Army will come out and just run away with it.
David is just running away with his mouth over here, saying Texas is running the table. They got candy, not even Vandy. They got candy in Florida. Dude, if you have a team that beat Bama on that field just 2 weeks ago, you cannot overlook that Vanderbilt team. You can't. Because that fan base there has gotten a taste, Joe, like the town. They got the taste of victory. Yeah. That's a team that has not been to very many bowl games of late. One more win, they get into a bowl game. Yeah. They beat Bama and Texas. They're going to get into a good bowl game.
A good one, dude. I know Sean Quintero was out watching that UTSA game, dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah. They got their tailgate in. I haven't gone to a game this year.
Gotta
I
go.
got to
man.
go to at least one before the year's over.
Make an appearance.
Maybe the UNT game. I think that's the one that I'm circling.
There you go.
Joe,
Maybe you can get back in the circle like Sean says, right?
I know my friends are like. It has been confirmed that Deshaun Watson has torn his Achilles.
You saw the video, dude. And they were showing that video, and there was a doctor that was showing a close up of what happened to his calf muscle, and you could see that reverberation going on when he was planning off of that foot, and he tried to go forward, and then you just saw his calf jiggle like that, and you knew. He's like, right then and there, he goes, "That's a torn Achilles, man."
It's gross.
Nobody touched him. It was just a non-contact injury. He just went down. He's done, dude. He's donezo, man. I don't see him playing another single game here in the NFL, man. I think he's done. Who's going to pick him up?
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
And you know what else we got to talk about, dude? This is something that has been a discussion here because Jets fans, right, were all excited when they found out that the Jets were getting one Aaron Rodgers, right?
Oh, by the way, Joe, real fast before you look it up, CBS Sports says the Browns are stuck with Deshaun Watson until 2026.
Ouch, dude.
That they cannot get rid of him, and his dead cap number would be $73 million.
That's a lot of money. That's what I'm saying. At some point, they're just gonna have to take a bath, dude. That's what it's gonna cost, man. And Cowboy fans were mad at Jerry.
And think about, not only did they have to swallow this contract and this crappy ass player,
gave up picks and everything.
Gave up picks. Oh my God. They gave up the 2022, 2023, and 2024 first round draft picks to the Houston Texans. They gave up a 2022 fourth round pick, a third round pick, a fourth round pick, a sixth round pick, all to the Texans.
Their future is done.
Dude, we're looking, we might look back at this. If the Texans go on and win a Super Bowl down the road, wouldn't this be the equivalent of like the Herschel Walker trade? But
yeah, equivalent in modern NFL times. But the thing is that that's something, right? Deshaun Watson went from being a cochino, and they flipped him to a Super Bowl, maybe a Super Bowl victory here in the near future. Yeah, it'd be something to. Oh, look, let's take a look. Like I was talking about Jets, man. We're talking about Jets.
Yeah.
Jets fans excited when they got Aaron Rodgers, right? They're like, Zach Wilson, he ain't it, man.
Yeah.
Let's move on from him. He ain't it. And what happened? 2023 Jets went 4-3 through 7 games. 2024 Jets with Aaron Rodgers, 2-5.
Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair.
How is it not fair?
Because Zach Wilson was not playing well.
He's not a good quarterback.
Well, right. Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. He's 20% what he used to be.
But is he better than Zach Wilson?
Yes. Zach Wilson isn't even playing right now.
But what did I tell you? You're only as good as your record says you are. That's what you said.
Well, no.
That's what you told me.
That's what you keep saying.
That's what you told me.
No, that's what you keep saying.
No, you told me that when the Saints beat the Cowboys.
Dude, there are variables to all sports, dude. If Wemby goes down with injury, you're not gonna say, well, the Spurs are only as good as their record. No, injuries happen. Zach Wilson sucks. The MILF Hunter sucks ass.
He does. He's a horrible quarterback. No,
they were winning despite of him, not because of him. There are certain teams out there, like I'm not a believer in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers right now have one of the best team records in the AFC, right? They're not a good team. You cannot convince me that any team that can't decide between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson is a good team, right?
Russell Wilson's booty crumbs, bro.
So at some point, the bill becomes due. At some point.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is what the Jets look like through 7 games.
Aaron Rodgers plays quarterback right now like Greg Popovich coaches.
Oh, Lord, dude. Here we go.
Had to get one in. Let's give some love to MCS General Contracting.
Before we do that, let me show you the state of what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, man. This is your quarterback. He's sitting down eating boogers, bro. Look at that.
It's like Smalls' nephew in Caddyshack. Remember when they're betting on Judge Smalls' kid? Yeah, $5 says he picks his nose.
Yeah,
double or nothing, he eats it.
He ate it, man. That's your QB right there. That's y'all's quarterback, Jets fans.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and give some love to MCS General Contracting. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Diamond Hard Concrete, Joe. Diamond Hard. They do it right.
Wearing the hat, man.
Very nice, man. They do a fantastic job. Basketball court, pickleball court, whatever you need. You need a parking lot for your business. You need a ADA compliant ramp. You need a sidewalk. You need a landing, whatever the case may be, man. They have that Diamond Hard Concrete. They do it right. They do it good the first time. Again, MCS General Contracting, 210-774-9155. And they power the chat over here at Alamo City Sportscast. Joe, let's give me some love, Joe. Let's give some love right here. This is my number right here, 210-508-0369. I have been in financial services for 19 years. I restarted my practice back 4 years ago because I spent many years in management supervising financial advisors and planners. During COVID, I restarted my practice. Joe, I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
I managed $15.75 million of retirement assets.
Nice.
And I have clients who send me other investments as well. And guess what? I do life insurance, disability, long-term care. Reason why we're a few minutes late was because I had 3 clients today who wanted money. They have their accounts with me. They want to have some money, right? They want to have some money. So, need a few $100 there, a couple thousand there, whatever the case may be, go on vacation, whatever the case may be. So not only do I invest the money, but I kind of serve as the banker, if you will. They want money, I send it to their checking account. That is what I do. I've been I've been licensed for 19 years. Again, I started my practice all over again 4 years ago. I'm independent. I do a good job. If you have anybody who has any needs for retirement accounts, old 401k, old IRA, old TSP account, has questions about their pension, questions about life insurance, disability, long-term care, give me a call, 210-508-0369. Joe, entertainment news. So could we do sports, pop culture, nostalgia?
Yeah, let's do the entertainment bump then.
Yeah. So I'm reading an article right now on screenrant.com. And it talks about how, Netflix has their original movies.
Yep.
The new Anna Kendrick movie, which is the #1 most streamed movie on Netflix right now, is considered to be one of the highest rated Netflix originals of all time. More than 90% of the critics, and they've had more than 100 people who have reviewed this movie, more than 90% have given it a certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Joe. What makes this interesting is that Anna Kendrick, who we know from Pitch Perfect, Up in the Air, lots of movies over the years, right? Anna Kendrick is kind of a celebrity crush for a lot of guys there. 39 years old, still has a baby face, though. This is the first time she's ever directed anything, Joe. And that's big. There are not a lot of female directors out there in Hollywood. Could she be doing that pivot?
And look at there. I'm going to go ahead and show that. Look at what it says about her. Anna Kendrick's true story thriller becomes one of the best rated 2024 Netflix movies on Rotten Tomatoes.
Now, the movie is called Woman of the Hour. And it's about this serial killer named Rodney Alcala, who, by the way, was born in San Antonio.
So does San Antonio have a serial killer?
Well, he was born in San Antonio, but then he moved to Mexico. Then he moved to LA by the time he was 12.
Okay.
So born in San Antonio, makes his way to California, but he basically was a serial killer who posed as a photographer and would encourage women to take photos. Now, if you do that today, right? You do that today, you go up to a woman and go, "Hey, can I take a photo?" They'd be like, "No." But because we have cell phones that have built-in cameras, right?
Yeah.
But back in the day, walking around with a nice camera, going, "I think you're really pretty. I'd like to take some photos of you, blah, blah, blah." And he would lure them into situations where he would eventually rape them and murder them, right?
Yeah.
The belief is and there's no proof of it, then he probably killed over 100 people in his lifetime.
Damn, that's a lot, dude.
Right? But what made this story interesting is that Rodney Alcala was somebody who was convicted of a violent crime and still managed to be on a game show, the dating game.
Jeez.
So it tells the story about this whole scenario here, about him being on the dating game and how the network did nothing to do background checks on the guy. And Anna Kendrick not only directed this movie, but she plays the female contestant of this show. And it's from her point of view. There have been movies about Rodney Alcala before.
Yeah.
48-hour specials and stuff like that, right? But she did it differently. She did it from the perspective of a woman's point of view.
Yeah.
Not from the killer's point of view. And it's a good movie. And it's a really short movie. It's like less than an hour and a half long. So it's not like you're going to be there for like 2 hours, 3 hours. If you're going to pick a good date night movie, something to watch with a wifey before going to bed, Woman of the Hour is pretty good, man. Pretty damn good. And I'm proud of Anna Kendrick. Proud of her. Pitch Perfect, filmed in what college? Barnard University. Pitch Perfect is actually LSU. Very cool. Joe, what'd you do this weekend?
I hung out downtown, dude. I went downtown, the family. Kind of walked around downtown, enjoyed the river walk, got on a little boat.
Yeah.
Went up and down. I haven't done that in such a long time. We're just walking, and we just happened to come across, the little pay booth, and the barge was right there. There was hardly anybody there. So
Really?
like, F it, let's just get on, And I wasn't drinking while I was down there, I was wanting to enjoy myself. I had some water. We walked a lot, got the wife, kids on the barge, went up and down the river, enjoyed it, went and got something to eat at the Hard Rock afterwards because it was right near the parking garage that we parked at anyway. And I had a coupon on the back of the receipt that I got from the barge and all that. That says you get $10 off your meal at the Hard Rock. My daughter's like, look, we got a coupon for that. I'm like, it's a sign. We're going to
make it happen.
We're going to make it happen. So it was cool. It was a nice evening because there was no line. Usually you get a line on the weekends trying to go and eat somewhere on the Riverwalk, Went right down to the river level when you get on the Riverwalk, to eat at the Hard Rock to get in the place. And there was no line. And they sat us right away. Asked us, you want to sit outside or inside? I said, it don't matter. It's a nice evening. And the lady sat us inside. So I was like, oh, cool.
So we have a couple of people reaching out to us right now. Play that one right there, Joe. What was that one say right here? Samson, so you boys, are we boys gonna have a spa day together, Mike? Mimosas and rosé with the game on, pissing the women off? Why not? Don't threaten me with a good time, Sam. You know what, Joe? That'll be a giveaway. Next few weeks or so, pedicures with Jimenez. That'll be the giveaway.
You get your fungal nail trimmed down and shaved,
Joe. It's great, Joe. It's like a BJ for your feet.
Jeez,
it's great.
That's gross.
Midtown saying I left San Antonio to escape poverty. Was out in the Woodlands again this week. Mario Cavazos says, I banged Anna Kendrick last night. Will in my dream. Someone was asking the question, Midtown Texas woman's point of view. The woman's point of view is this. Okay, let's go ahead and address that, Joe.
No.
The woman's point of view is the fact that when you do these serial killer stories, right, it's always about like the guy, right?
Yeah.
I watched over the weekend Red Dragon. I hadn't seen that movie before. That's part of the Hannibal Lecter Silence of the Lambs trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. That's the one with Edward Norton and Ray Fiennes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had never seen that movie before, but it's always from the perspective of like that's from the perspective of the FBI agent, right?
Yeah.
Clarice Starling was right. So notice how like on Silence of the Lamb, back in the day with Jodie Foster, it was in Clarice's point of view. It wasn't on Hannibal Lecter's point of view. It was Clarice's point of view. But there's certain movies out there that take the guy's perspective. This one doesn't. This one basically says, look, can you spot a red flag? Can you spot a red flag? And how did this guy ultimately get caught? And the red flag is if you're a woman, can you identify that somebody is a creep? Can you identify that you should not be in certain situations? Because this guy was able to lure lots of people, lots of women into situations where they were vulnerable, right? But instead of his point of view of, oh, I'm chaotic and I'm a psycho and all that stuff, this takes the opinion of you're the female in this situation. And that's a fresher take than just the, I want to just rape chicks and I want to do this and that. It's a different approach to it all. So I would actually go against that, dude. Footsies with Jimenez, Sam Selena says. You know what? You know what? It's so Joe. It's so funny. There's so many people. Angel and Val were making fun of me about that yesterday on Twitter. It's so funny. The number of guys say that they would never do it, but then when they do it for the first time, Joe, you know what the first reaction is? Why wasn't I doing this before? That's the problem.
We're gonna call that prize pack Footsies with Jimenez. Everybody's gonna be like, "What else y'all got, man?" I'll pass on that pedicure, man.
Escaping San Antonio to escape the poverty. Nice. So Diddy got slapped with new lawsuits, Joe.
Jeez, again.
Our good guy, Tony Busby from Houston, who represented Dr. Hillary Cawthon back in the day against the Spurs when Josh Primo kept dropping the towel.
Yeah, man, he got the coin, dude. He got that purse, he got that bag.
So TMZ is reporting that Diddy's now facing 5 federal lawsuits, all of which filed by Texas attorney Tony Busby for things that apparently happened allegedly between 2000 and 2022. 2 other cases were filed in New York. And this time they're trying to name names. They named names, Joe, in this lawsuit. Those names have not been released, but apparently those names are filled with celebrities. And apparently one of the victims is 13 years old.
Man.
Alleged victim. Diddy ain't getting out of jail anytime soon, Joe.
No.
He might have seen the last of it. Dude, when did Diddy become Nino Brown? Remember from New Jack City?
Yeah.
Are they like the same person now?
Quite possibly.
Pookie. Mario asking, did I eat one of those limes off of myself?
Jeez, bro. Yeah, that would have been a picture worthy of putting on social media.
So Sam asking, you got to try a float. I have no idea what a float is. You got to explain that to me. Dude. Everyone's saying, I'm too manly to get a pedicure. I'm too manly. I only drink beer.
No, look at Midtown, Texas. He says, I get pedicures with my wife.
Dude, it's great times, man. It's good times. It's relaxing. You get drunk. Comes with a massage.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine one time. She's like, let's go get a pedicure. I'm like, hell no.
Why not?
No.
Well, what's the reason?
No, I just don't like people touching my feet.
Do you know what they do?
I know what they do.
Well, I mean, it depends on what package you get.
I just want to
I'm not saying to put the clear coat or Caleb Williams your toes
touching my feet. I'm good,
dude.
bro.
Okay, so like here's what they got going on, right? I go there. First of all, they ask me what do you want to drink? Here's an open bar, right? Open bar.
Yeah.
It's free alcohol. I was like, I'll have Crown and Diet. Crown and Diet. They brought me 3. Sit me down. They put you in this chair that has like the massager on there, like the good chair.
Yeah.
Right? Not the Best Products one from back in the day, right? Not the JCPenney one. It's a good chair. You get to have that thing rub you, right? They put your feet in this hot water and they soak your feet for a while. They put like the Epsom salt and all that stuff in there, right? Then they get your toes and they clip the toenails. Then they get a cheese grater and they grate your feet to smooth them out. Yeah. And sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes, for those who haven't had this done before or in a while, it looks like Parmesan, dude. They're just getting all that crap out, right? And then they put your foot in fruit. They put your feet in fruit, right? Dude. They get oranges and they squeeze an orange on you, and then they massage your feet with oranges and lemons and limes. And it's delicious, dude. It's delicious. Then they get this hot wax, Joe, and they pour it all over your feet, and it's effing burning, right? Then they massage you with that, dude. Then they put creams on your feet, all that stuff. For those who want to have it like, clear coat or whatever, I don't. I'm okay. I've had it done before, but no, I was like, all right. And dude, it's good times, man. I don't know what to say.
No, I'm good, man. My friend Celine's always trying to get me to go out there. I'm just like, I want to go out there, man. she's my friend. She's one of my best friends. She's a cop over in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. She comes down to visit here in San Antonio. And when she does, she always wants to do something, we'll go out and eat or something like that, catch up. Usually I'll go out and, hang out with her and her husband or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, when she comes down here, sometimes she's like, hey, I'm going to go get a pedicure. You want to go? I'm like, hell no. I don't want to go get no pedicure, man.
Dude, you're missing out, dude. You're missing out.
It's called self-care.
Well, I mean, Lieutenant Dan said it best on Forrest Gump, right? He says, one thing to always remember, take care of your feet. I mean, think about that. We're on our feet all the time, right?
Mike likes cream on his feet.
Sure do.
No, man, I'm good.
Apparently, Shakira, in entertainment news, is moving the San Antonio concert that she had scheduled here from the Frost Bank Center to the Alamo Dome. Shakira, who's one of the hottest women who's ever walked the earth, is moving the date of her concert to June 13th due to high fan demand. It was supposed to be in May at the Frost Bank Center. She moved it back. She wrote on her Instagram stories, the demand for tickets and more shows has been reached to the point that our new tour requires stadiums in the USA and more dates so I can see as many of you as possible. Joe, would you want to see a Shakira in a Alamo Dome setting? I would want to see her at the Frost Bank Center. Okay. Small place. I don't want to see, like when we watched the Spurs back on the 50th anniversary at the Alamo Dome against the Warriors.
Yeah.
That was a shitty ass experience, Joe. It was cool seeing the gente all out there, right?
Yeah.
But it was a crappy experience to watch basketball in a freaking dome. It was awful. No one can tell me otherwise.
What, seeing the Spurs play in the Alamo Dome?
It's a bad experience. It was never.
I liked it.
It was never. No, it was nostalgic, Joe. You didn't enjoy it. No one enjoyed it.
I took my son with me, and we enjoyed it. We were actually talking to all the gente out there because
that's why people enjoyed it. That's why people enjoyed it. No one enjoyed the actual game, dude. There were more people drinking and talking to old friends from high school.
Man, we were all having
than
fun.
Actually watching the game.
No, dude, we ran into a lot of people there. Enjoyed some drinks. Got to catch up with the whole. It's like going to Fiesta, dude. You're in Market Square, you're in Niosa and all this.
At no point are you talking about the game.
No, we weren't. We're talking about, hey, remember when we used to watch the games here? We're talking about old games that we watched at the Dome. We're talking about the curtain, everything that was there. We enjoyed actually watching the game because it was near downtown. That's what the experience was different, rather than being at the Frost. When you go to the Frost Center, there ain't nothing to do before the game. There ain't nothing to do after the game. But when you go to the Alamo Dome, you're downtown, bro. Mm-hmm. You can just keep walking and go
do something.
Do something, man.
SEC has fined the Texas Longhorns $250,000 as the Longhorns apologize, according to mysa.com, for throwing trash on the field against Georgia. Keep it classy, Austin. Keep it classy.
And that actually changed that play for them. They had the play overturned. Texas did. Because it gave time for the officials to kind of congregate and talk about things a little bit more. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to overturn it after all.
Hear the story about Monty Williams?
Yeah, I saw that.
Spur?
That's a lot of drama going on over there at TMI because Bruce Bowen was the head coach there.
Right.
And they ousted him. And Bruce Bowen still has his kid going there. And his kid's going to still continue to go to the school. And now the kid's going to be coached by Monty Williams, who has his kid going to the school.
Elijah Williams you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's one of the top ranked high school players out there. Monty Williams played for the Spurs. His son is a 6'6" small forward, a 5-star recruit. Class of 2026. He has scholarship offers right now from Arizona, Arizona State, Cal, Missouri, Notre Dame, Oregon, Temple, and Washington. That's according to KSAT.com. Williams was the NBA Coach of the Year in 2022, now coaching high school ball in the San Antonio area at TMI. TMI is a beautiful campus, by the way.
Yeah, man. You know, the other campus that's good too is that Cornerstone, man. I don't know if you've seen the Cornerstone campus.
Oh, yeah.
They have a beautiful campus and a really nice football field, man.
Do you know what the best campus that I've been to? St. Mary's Hall.
Really?
On the north side. That's where like the Holt family goes and sends their money. Every blade of grass, Joe, is perfectly manicured. Like, you go to, I go drop off my daughter at her school at middle school at Northside ISD.
Yeah.
The yard is trash. It is just dirt.
It's all dead grass and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's there is crabgrass, right?
Yeah.
It's just dirt. You go on to St. Mary's Hall, it is nicer than university campus grass. It is manicured. It's beautiful. I officiated a game over there. And what the weird thing is, the gym, it's
all right.
It's all right. It's like the buildings, but the campus itself, like the aesthetic, it's beautiful. It's tucked in the trees and whatnot. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But welcome back to San Antonio, Monty Williams. Joe, it's going to be a long week, Joe.
It is, man.
I asked my daughter today what she wants to be for Halloween. She says, and my daughter is in 7th grade, she doesn't want to do it this year.
Yeah, she's getting older, man.
F that, dude. I did it all the way till like I was 18.
Yeah, well, maybe she doesn't want to. Maybe she just wants to hang out with friends or give out candy or something.
That's so lame, Joe.
That's up to her, bro. You know what she's probably going to do afterwards? She's going to be like, Dad, let's go get canes.
Exactly. Before we go, let's update our Twitter poll. Again, we have a poll at MJ Acquired Taste asking the question, what is an acceptable number of wins for the Spurs this year? Almost 100 votes, Joe. 96 votes in barely over an hour and a half. 46% saying 35 wins is acceptable. 23% saying, nope, we got to get back to 500 ball or better. 17% saying make the play-in or better, that would be acceptable. And 15%, Joe, going, nah, 30 wins is fine.
They like the team we have.
Asking the question, 109 votes in. If the Spurs have their 6th losing season in a row, would you want the team to move on from Pop? 58% saying, nah, in Pop we trust. And to you, all of you guys are suckers. 58% saying that you want a coach who has lost 6 seasons in a row. You're not the GOAT if you have 6 losing records in a row, because you know what? Red Auerbach never had that happen to him. Phil Jackson never had that happen to him. Pat Riley never had that happen to him. And Spoelstra would never have that happen to him. You do not have 6 in a row. Should have retired a long time ago. What does this
poll tell you, man? Spurs fan is happy with the mediocre team again.
That's exactly what it is. That there's no demand for greatness or excellence. That we're happy with what happened a decade ago.
They're happy with not making the play-in, dude. And you know what? On the flip side of that,
and in the meantime, Pop being the 2nd highest paid coach in the NBA.
Well, check this out. And they have been saying this in the chat as well, and I've known this for a fact. OKC getting nothing but better, right? One of the top teams in the West, because of the way that they have their picks structured.
Yeah.
They have a legitimate shot of getting Cooper Flag.
Yeah, and Joe, here's the thing, Joe.
Like, damn.
Here's the thing, Joe. We got all these picks, though, man. We got all these picks. Joe. That's gonna win games for Wemby. You know what we got to do is surround Wemby with rookies.
You can use those picks as trade bait, man.
For what?
Go get somebody worth the damn. You know what? If they don't surround Wemby with,
then he deserves
players,
to leave.
If they don't surround him with players that are going to actually make a run, you know, they need bucket getters, dude. And if they don't surround him with bucket getters, he's gone.
He's gone.
And
I don't care if the Spurs are the only team that can do the Supermax. He makes money elsewhere.
Yeah, off endorsements and whatnot. He can play in a bigger market.
He's a restricted free agent. We can lock him down here. A miserable NBA player does not stay, even if he's under contract. No, miserable NBA player does not stay. By the way, final before we leave, I find this to be interesting. Did you know that half of the NBA first round draft picks this year don't belong to the original team?
Doesn't surprise me.
You know, like Atlanta's belongs to the Spurs. Theoretically, Chicago's could come to the Spurs. Theoretically, Charlotte's could come to the Spurs. Theoretically, the Spurs could get 5 this year, right? Because we have our own. But Miami's belongs to Oklahoma City. Sacramento's belongs to Atlanta. Phoenix's belongs to Brooklyn. Cleveland's belongs to Utah. Denver's belongs to Orlando. Milwaukee's belongs to Brooklyn. Philly's belongs to OKC. Minnesota's belongs to Utah. The Knicks belongs to Brooklyn. Oklahoma City, one of their other ones, belongs to the Clippers. Right now, Brooklyn is poised to have 4 first-rounders, and right now the Spurs are poised to have 2. Could have 4 if Chicago's and Charlotte's convey, but Tankathon.com says that right now it does not appear as though the Spurs are going to get those 2 picks because they believe that Chicago will be the 5th worst team in the NBA. Tankathon believes the Spurs are the 9th worst team. So let's go with that there. What does ESPN Analytics say? San Antonio is the 2nd worst team in the NBA. Worst team in the West? Oh, we talk about what teams are better. What teams do they have better than the Spurs? Or the Spurs better than in the West?
The West, yeah.
Utah, Portland.
And we talked about that on that Area 210 podcast that I did with all the guys, including Matt Lerma, Fernandez, Seth Elias, and John Dyer. So we brought it up, and we really just, gave everybody an opportunity to tell us real talk. Who are the Spurs better than in the West?
Right.
Be real with yourself.
Be real.
And the responses were not shocking. They were like dead on.
We're cheering for whatever team plays Atlanta. Atlanta has Brooklyn the first game of the season. Brooklyn conceivably, or what most people think is the worst team in the entire NBA. So Atlanta might go 1-0 to start the year. Joe, it's been a fun show. We got through a lot today, man.
You did, man.
The one thing that kind of bubbles to the surface, Joe, Texas, overrated. Can't wait to have more of that conversation later on this week.
Going to talk to Johnny Walker about that on Friday.
As they go on the road against Vandy. Vandy's 5-2, ranked 25th in the nation. We got to get into that, baby. We'll be back tomorrow. This is the Alamo City Sportscast. Hit the like button on the way out the door. We'll see you tomorrow.